Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are Team James, and we're here to present for the GBTA Ladders presentation on value creation. To start off the presentation, I'd like to introduce everybody to the members of our team. James Filsinger, our fearless leader, team guru, and general manager of Coupa. Ranga Chitawanyika, Team Advisor, Director of Global Sales at SBE. And of course, there's me, your presenter, Corbin Imgrind, Product Marketing Manager at Roomit. And together we are Team James. Thank you all for joining us today. Today I'm going to be telling everybody a story, a wonderful story, a story of hope. A story about how one man learned to create value and made life better for himself and all those around him. I'd like to talk to you about the first time Ranga and I met James Filsinger. James had been assigned as a mentor to Ranga and me as part of a program for the Global Business Travel Association. Ranga and I agreed to meet James at a movie about value creation so that we could learn as much as we could before building our presentation. But James wasn't anything like we expected. Ranga and I were young employees, innocent. We explained James's peculiar behavior as our own naivety, and we committed in that moment to watch, listen, and learn to everything James had to teach us. Hi everyone, I'm Corbin Imgrind with Team James. More so than ever, it's important for those of us in the business of corporate travel to create and articulate strong value propositions around the products and services that we design and market. On behalf of Team James, I want to thank the Global Business Travel Association as well as extend special goodwill to our fellow GBTA Ladders participants and extended travel industry family. As America begins opening again, we look forward to traveling again and seeing you all very soon. When we left the theater that day, James was certain that he had taught us everything that we needed to know about value creation. James headed out to enjoy the glitz and glamour of the city nightlife, leaving Ranga and me to finish the GBTA project. James understood he had bestowed great wisdom upon us. We were ready to move forward with the project on our own. So let's review what are the elements of value creation. In order to create value, the first thing we need to do is to create quality. This quality can come in the form of a product, service, or experience. That quality will create a value as long as it has a high relative worth in relation to its opportunity cost. In order to create quality, we need to first understand what the customer's needs really are, and then accurately predict what product or service will best meet those needs and drive the outcomes that our clients are looking for. How well our solution or product helps a customer achieve an outcome they're looking for must have a high relative worth in relation to the opportunity cost or the cost associated with the loss of potential gain from other alternatives when one alternative is chosen. When this occurs, we can say that we have created value. A few days later, James decided to book travel for the team to go to the GBTA Ladders presentation. However, since James had spent so much of his money partying over the last week, he decided that he needed to cut costs as much as possible around the team's trip. When the day arrived and it was time to head out to the Ladders presentation, Ranga and I met at the bus stop for our transportation accommodations. James had booked us tickets on the local Greyhound, which took us to the local train station that started our 12-hour journey to our destination. I'm not sure how James arrived at the destination. Ranga and I didn't see him on the bus or the train, so he must have booked alternative accommodations. But we arranged to meet at the local international airport and go to the conference as a group. While we waited for James's luggage at baggage claim, James went to the airport lounge to use the restroom, and then met us shortly after. From there, we headed off to our hotel accommodations. When we arrived at the hotel, Ranga and I were pretty fatigued, but helped James carry his luggage inside. Ranga checked in at the front desk while I took James's things upstairs to his room. We met James outside by the pool, where he was lounging and having a cocktail. We were extremely excited to get checked into our rooms at the hotel, especially Ranga, but then James broke the news to us that we had received separate accommodations. We booked some ground transportation and headed over to our hotel. It wasn't exactly the type of accommodation that Ranga and I were expecting, but I got us both checked in, and we went up to our respective rooms and went to sleep. The next day, Ranga and I met James at the rooftop lounge of his hotel. James inquired about our stay, and I had no choice but to tell him about the dreadful accommodations. I could tell he really took everything that I said to heart, and that it really impacted him. Anyways, I guess it worked, because a little while later he had a really great idea on how to take the principles of value creation to heart. James had heard about a new technology called Price Tracker. Price Tracker was a quality technology product and service that generated high relative worth in relation to its low relative cost. In the future, Price Tracker would enable James to book travel for his mentees at any time, at any cost, and would automatically monitor the rates and fares automatically canceling and rebooking his mentees' itinerary segments if a lower rate became available. This dramatically increased the quality of his mentees' travel. We no longer had to stay at dingy motels, but were able to stay at the fancy hotels that James had become accustomed to. No longer did we have to travel by bus or train, but instead flew plane. Price Tracker had a high relative worth in relation to what it cost. Prior to being able to provide proper travel accommodations, James's mentees were depressed and even sought counseling at times. Poorly attentive mentees were costing James time and money. For a percentage of the savings that Price Tracker was able to save James on bookings, James was able to dramatically increase the value that he could drive as a mentor to his mentees. Ranga and I were much happier with our new accommodations and even became more productive. Since Price Tracker guaranteed James a competitive fare, he was able to continue living his extravagant lifestyle. After his team won the GBTA Ladders presentation, GBTA recognized James as the world's best mentor. And that is the story of how I met James Filsinger, and he taught me how to create value. The end.